What's up, everybody? Welcome to On the Record, a punk music podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Ben Brennan, alongside Alex Newman. What's going on, Alex?
Not much, man. Just trying to stay cool. If I responding, it's because I turned into a puddle. It's very hot.
You don't have your AC on?
I don't have AC, man.
Oh, yeah. Man,
That's why I had to close my window. It's because I got like fans and stuff like that in my windows. It's brutal. But it'll be
oh.
much better in maybe like 2 months or so.
I mean, it has been above 80 degrees here in Ohio in October, the past few days. So, you
Dang.
know, the whole world's gonna burn to fucking death. Whatever.
Right.
Um, So, On the Record is a fan podcast where we discuss the Fat Records catalog, album by album, side by side, and chronologically ish. We have no real music expertise, just friends shooting the shit about albums we've loved growing up. Alex, I'm looking forward to talking to you about the first LP from Good Riddance, Forgotten Country. But first, can you remind me why we've decided on such a daunting quest?
Well, we figured there's not really anything else going on in the world that's worth talking about since everything's fine, right? Right? It's just, impending collapse of society. But this is just a fun way to revisit the records of our youth. So before we get going, we actually got a little bit of housekeeping to take care of, just regarding the future of the podcast. First off, anyone who's listening now or has been listening from the start, thank you. We've been working on the podcast and thinking about how it can evolve and grow. But we've also been discussing the release schedule of all the episodes. Up until this point, we've been releasing every 2 weeks and thought we might be able to keep that schedule going as long as we had enough lead time on recordings. But we've realized work and life make it a little tough at times. So going forward, we're actually going to restructure it in a season format, and which will allow us to make episodes available every week throughout the season. And this is going to be beneficial in a few ways. Number one, season format's going to give us a defined break and allow us to take a breather and have more thoughtful revisions to the format in between seasons. Number two, any feedback that we get from you, the audience, can be addressed in a more predictable manner. We've had to record all these episodes well ahead of when they're releasing, so any feedback's going to have a lot of lag time in terms of addressing anything we want to fix or correct. But with our season breaks, you can bet we'll be taking notes in between seasons in order to further improve engagement. And lastly, it allows us to plan ahead and just create a more consistent schedule overall, which means we'll be sticking with the one episode per week release schedule format from now on. And all that said, season one is going to run through the rest of the 1995 releases, ending with Lagwagon's Hoss, and that'll be our 12th episode. So now you know how long the season's going to run, and I would imagine our seasons will probably be around that number of episodes every time, or at least we'll try and stick somewhere around there.
Yeah, you don't want much more than 12 songs on a record. You don't
That's
need
exactly what I was thinking.
12 episodes to a season. And, funny enough, how many tracks are on this record?
12.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Well, let's do the liner notes. So today we're talking about Good Riddance's For God and Country. It was released on February 1st, 1995. The lineup was Russ Rankin on vocals, Luke Povich on guitar and backing vocals, Chuck Platt on bass backing vocals, and Rich McDermott on drums. It was recorded at Razor's Edge Recording, engineered by Ryan Green. I believe this is the first time we've seen Ryan Green, because he's going to be recording a lot of records from here on out. And it's produced by Fat Mike, Good Riddance, and Ryan Green. So let's start talking about side one.
Yeah, so I had a okay amount to a decent amount to write on most of these, write about most of these songs. So I was thinking we'd just kind of go through song by song here, unless there was anything that really stood out to you that you want to talk about right away.
No, I don't think so.
So Fly's First Class, to me, and I think I feel like this record is fairly varied. I feel like overall it sounds about half the time like it could be put out by like any of the other bands on Fat Wreck, and then like half the time more of kind of the like good Riddance sound that they're more well known for. Um, and so
Yeah,
Fly's First Class definitely to me sounded like something that could have just been put out by any other Fat band. So I thought like the song kind of sounded like a strung out song. Russ kind of sounded like Milo at times.
I mean that's what I was gonna say was that this feels very much like a Descendants song to me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like it really like I definitely picked up on the same thing. It sounded like he was almost trying to sound like Milo.
Yeah, which, not a bad person to try to sound like.
No, not at
Um,
all.
I I thought it was a pretty good song too. I wasn't crazy about the lyrics because, like, to me, there was like a lot of. I mean, it sort of seemed like it was about American exceptionalism, but like at other times, it didn't really seem to know what it was about. Did you get that vibe from reading those or not?
I mean, I could kind of see that, but I think it was just like overall uh commentary on how America sees itself.
Yeah, yeah,
Um and I get the gist of it basically. Like it's not anything earth-shattering, but it sets the tone for what the record is for the most part because it's a large portion of the record is gonna, I mean, you can just tell from the artwork on the cover of the album, like what we're going to be dealing with here in terms of
yeah,
subject matter, for the most part. So I think that this is a very appropriate first track for this album.
yeah, yeah. What you
But
think about?
I like this.
What?
I like Fly's First Class. I think it was one of the better songs I thought on the record personally.
Yeah, yeah, that was a pretty good song. Yeah. What'd you think about Better?
So I think this is a good example of where I think this record doesn't work so well for me is when Russ is doing more of like a singing approach. He eventually gets there on later releases. Like by the time you get to Symptoms of a Leveling Spirit, like he's great. But I just feel that this is not his strongest approach for some of these songs when he's singing. It just falls a little flat. Like it's not bad, but it just doesn't. I'm not listening to it going, "Oh, this is really fantastic." It just kind of bored me a little bit.
Yeah, I thought it was okay. I thought the lyrics were all right.
Yeah, I mean, I think overall you can say that the lyrics are good on this record.
Yeah, yeah. So All Fall Down was the first one that I thought really sounded like what I consider like a classic Good Riddance song. Um,
Yeah,
and I great song, really fucking hard song.
yeah,
For
this is one of
yeah,
my standout songs on this record. I really like this song.
and it's a song about how stupid nationalism is too. So it's
Yeah,
great all around.
it has what might be my favorite lyric on the entire record when he says, "You can tie a yellow ribbon around your cock, boy. You're just along for the ride."
That was a really good one.
It just feels so. It's like when you look at like all the other lyrics, like that's just like it really stands out. So you're just like, oh, okay, so it's colorful. um, but I really like the song has like the bass gives it like a lot of bounce,
Mhm.
and then his vocals like counter that bounciness really well. Like it like really like they almost like work against each other in a really positive way. So I really like that. Um, and then the other thing I'll say is that the song reminded me of a uh, a song that was recorded, years and years later, but it reminds me of the Nerve Agents song "Days of the White Owl" because they say "all fall down" in like a very similar. They have that part in the song where like I don't know if maybe the Nerve Agents were like given a nod to Good Riddance, but like maybe there's only so many ways you can say "all fall down" in a song and not have it sound the same. But it's like it's like the same cadence and everything.
They did a split, right?
With Good Riddance? I don't.
Maybe I'm mixing up people that did splits with Good Riddance.
I don't think they did.
Okay. I know what I was getting mixed up there. I was thinking about how Kill Your Idols did a split with Good Riddance.
Ah, okay, yeah.
And then I believe there's a Kill Your Idols Nerve Agents.
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
Split. So they did a split by transitive property or something.
Right.
Yeah. It's certainly possible for both West Coast bands.
Yeah, they're from the same area too. It's Northern California, San Francisco area.
Are they not Southern California? I don't know
Good
why
Riddance?
I assume. Yeah.
No. I don't believe
I
so.
think I've just kind of implicitly assumed that they were from like Orange County or something.
No. Good Riddance is, well, you know what? Let's find out right now definitively where they're from.
I mean, my assumptions are usually wrong. So.
They're from Santa Cruz, so that's like the San Francisco
yeah.
general area. But yeah, so that's yet another reason why I figured like it's possible that the Nerve Agents might have been or giving a nod to Good Riddance, but also it could just be that like there's only so many ways you can, just like a coincidence. But that's just what it made me think of. What did you think of United Cigar?
So I thought that one sounded more like kind of the classic mid-tempo Good Riddance songs. They have that kind of, there's a fast song that they write, and then like a mid-tempo song, and this sounded more like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the lyrics were pretty cool. This was the single, right? Or was it Decoy?
I believe Decoy was the single that they released for this, either before this record or I think they did Decoy before this record came out. But United Cigar, I think, was featured on maybe the first Fat Music comp.
Okay.
Yeah. But I think United Cigar, it's another song where he's like Russ is doing some more of like a singing approach, and it's I think it's an improvement over track 2, better. But it's okay. I wasn't like I'm not like I kind of expected going back to this song. I was like, oh, I'll recognize this one, and I was like, oh, I guess I sort of recognize it. I definitely heard it before, but it wasn't like it wasn't like a standout for me. And the lyrics were good, but like it just it's nothing you haven't heard before. It's almost like at this point, this many releases in, we're kind of like it wouldn't be a '90s punk record without a song about TV and alcohol and loneliness, right? Like there's so many of these types of songs.
Yeah, I think it also just gets to like how much you are like reinforcing your own loneliness.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, it's a decent song.
So then, what'd you think about Decoy?
This one was tough for me. I really like the lyrics on this song, but I think it's his vocals that were throwing me, because I like music is fine, really like the lyrics, but like his approach to how he's delivering the vocals, it feels disjointed and awkward and almost like he's trying to sing like Fat Mike.
Well, I also feel like he just used like way too many like $10 words and stuff.
That's the other thing I have sort of written here is
well, he gets a lot more judicious about the way he uses vocabulary as the records go along, and
Mhm.
here I felt like he really just wanted to be like Greg Graffin or something.
Yeah. I mean, what I have written is that the lyrics, like, they take a turn towards like literary poetry. Um, and then the section that I clipped here was, well, I happened to visit a slaughterhouse where cessation's redolence rose to the sky, and propitious creatures wait a most virulent fate, which their pacific demeanor belies. It's like, it's a little much. It's a little much.
I don't know. I feel like yeah, a more direct approach would have been better there. I mean, yeah, I think that the content wise and the ideas in the song are pretty good.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
yeah, it just feel like there's a certain amount of trimming that could have been
Hmm.
done to make this flow better.
Yeah. And just like, and then I don't know if that sort of dictated how he decided to go about like delivering the lines, but those parts where he's singing those parts, um, it just doesn't, like, I just don't like it. It just sounds like he's rambling. And when you're just listening to the song, when you read the lyrics, you're like, oh wow, it's actually like interesting. But as he's delivering the lines, and it's like, I don't really dig the song all that much. But the sixth track, Boys and Girls, I thought is like absolutely one of my other standouts on this record. I really like Boys and Girls.
Oh, me too. Great song.
Yeah.
Really fucking good song. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
The
it seems like it's my read on it is it's about substance abuse.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah, he says you thought something outside would always fix you. You should know by now it'll always trick you. I know how it feels. Um, and I like that. And there's a very Descendants guitar solo in there that I enjoy too. It just
Yeah.
reminded me very much of something pulled from Descendants.
Yeah,
And
yeah, that was probably that one and All Fell Down, I think, were probably my favorites. We'll see.
yeah, on side
I can't.
one, those are my two standouts for side one. And then I also really liked Fly's First Class. I think it's good, even though
Yeah, yeah, it
just
that
kind of
was
sounds like Descendants, but that's cool.
yeah. Um
Is that all you got to say about side one? Any other thoughts?
yeah, nothing too strong. Yeah, I got or I've got more to say about the next stuff coming. But yeah, let's flip it over to side two then.
Okay. Yeah, no shout outs this week. Everything is shit. So we're just gonna move past it. We unfortunately no games planned for this episode. But yeah,
Mate,
well, what's up?
just spitballing on air right now. Maybe we'll do when we don't have an idea, like some sort of like role playing game, like Dungeons and Dragons, but like 1994, um, you know, Southern California or California punk stuff instead. You know,
I'm not sure how that would work, but I'm interested.
I think I can come up with some stats and stuff we can use.
All right.
It's gonna be mostly about charisma, I think. Probably.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, let's flip over to side two then, and let's start with we'll just start with Mother Superior, um, which I think it's one of the better songs on the record as well. And this is one that I think I was the most familiar with this song because it was definitely on. I mean, I don't know if they had United Cigar and Mother Superior on the original Fat Wreck comp. Um, but I definitely remember Mother Superior a lot more fondly than United Cigar.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I mean, I thought Mother Superior was all right, but I think that what really puts it over is the lyrical content to it,
Yes.
being largely about like kind of just the entire war machine apparatus in the United States,
Yeah.
and how like everybody's in on it, sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's really what I was struck by too, as I was like reading through the lyrics. He says, see the trigger happy college boys that love a chance to try out their new toys. They wash the city streets clean with the blood of infidels. And hail the monarchy, hail the oligarchy, a potential for anarchy. We pat ourselves firmly on the back. That's that. This feels almost like this and Fly's First Class maybe is what inspired the artwork for the album.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a couple more too that might, but yeah, that
Hmm.
definitely. Well, I kind of got the idea that the next song might be about it. Might also be one of the inspirations for the cover art to this 12-year circus.
Hmm.
What do you think the 12-year circus is referring to?
So I think that it's about the 12 years from 80 to 92 where we had U.S. Republican presidents.
I thought that. The other possibility is I feel like American involvement in Vietnam is almost that long as well. So I had like one of those two listed there, but
Mm,
yeah.
okay.
Um,
It seemed to make more sense to me that that's what he was talking about. Um, yeah, I don't know. He wasn't.
I had tried to see if like it was something that like somebody had like written a book about that, and like it was titled 12-Year Circus or something like that too, because
Mm,
he, I mean, definitely draws on like you know stuff he reads. At least that's what appears to be the case from other records. So
yeah. So in actually, I think one of the reasons, well, another one of the reasons why I think it's probably going back to that run of Republican presidents, is that in the last track, October, uh, it sounds like he's talking like I think he might be talking about the election of Ronald Reagan.
oh,
Um,
that definitely, yeah, I
right,
definitely
so
thought
that's
it was
why I
gonna be
think that
about
that's
Reagan.
why the fact that he went back to that on a different song made me feel like that's what the 12-year circus is referred to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, I like and I like the song for the most part. I think I just get like a little like maybe it just makes me laugh a little bit just the way he does the when he says it was a circus. He just sort of like changes the way he talks or the way he's singing in the rest of the song. He's just like it was a circus. It's super goofy. I just like I don't really understand what the inspiration for that was or why he did that, but it's memorable in like a weird way. But
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
yeah, it's a decent song. Man of God just sounds like Bad Religion to me.
Oh, yeah,
Um,
that's exactly what I wrote.
yeah,
It is a Bad Religion song.
yeah, it just sounds like it just like straight up like let's just do a Bad Religion song. Um,
Lyrical content, like
yeah,
the whole shebang.
yeah, and like I like it, but like it's not memorable. Like
Yeah,
once it's over, I'm just like I'm on to the next thing. It's fine.
yeah, yeah.
And then like the next two tracks, uh, sound like they pull some Lagwagon
Oh, yeah, no, yeah, I wrote the same
influence.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lisa, I wrote, could either be a No Effects or a Lagwagon song.
Yeah.
Um, do you think it was about a friend or a lover?
I feel like you could go either way with that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh, but I think with Lisa, it's one of the better tracks where he's doing more singing. Um, but it's not.
Yeah,
It's still not really a standout.
it,
But I like it all right.
it's definitely closer to his singing voice on later records.
Yeah, yeah. I think what I appreciate about this song at this point in the record, especially after something like Man of God, is that it has some tempo changes that break things up.
Yeah, yeah,
And that's something I can say on the whole for this record that at this point we've mentioned it so many times. These other records is that some stuff starts to blend together, especially like Face to Face or something like that. But this record, I don't feel like anything was like blending together for me for the most part.
yeah.
They've got it. They've got the track list was um, sort of it was sequenced in a way that there's enough variety that you're not like zoning out.
Yeah, yeah, I agree completely on that. They did a good job of, because I feel like if you like put like all the like Lagwagon, No Effects, Descendants sounding songs together, and then like all the faster songs together, like it would probably, I mean, you probably just say, the one side blended all together or something like that,
Yeah,
possibly
yeah.
all of them did. Did you like Wrong Again?
Um, yeah, I liked it. But it's still not terribly memorable, but it's definitely not bad. It's another one that it feels very Lagwagon influence in terms of like the guitars and stuff. Um, and I couldn't quite pinpoint it. Like there was like I kept thinking to myself, I was like, oh my god, this sounds so much like Lagwagon. And then I'll like go back and listen to Trashed, which I feel like it's probably pulling influence from. And I couldn't quite pinpoint what it was reminding me of, but it's like it just feels like something Lagwagon wrote on around the time it Trashed. Um, and but the thing is that like Good Riddance, there's that moment where it feels like that, and then they take it in a very different direction than Lagwagon would have taken it. Um, but then like on the other side of things, like the lyrics are just like sort of about a bad friendship, and that feels very much like something Lagwagon would have written.
So I didn't think it was bad, but I did think that it was probably my least favorite song on the record.
Oh, this one? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's that's okay. Uh, and then October, to me, this one just sounds like more Bad Religion meets No Effects. And it's not bad at all, but it's not like memorable, really. It just didn't feel like it's not as strong of a closer as I would have wanted, you know?
I thought it was an all right closer. I mean, I like it because it's just they're able to write a really good fuck Reagan song in 1995. So
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. That's for sure. Uh, yeah, it's like I mean, I really do think that like overall the lyrics on this record are much better often than the songs are. Um, but uh, but there are no bad songs in my mind on this album. Uh, I think that there may be there's a few that are a little too derivative of other bands, but you do get for, you get enough variety and enough hints at like where they're gonna go. Um,
yeah, yeah. If you're a good Riddance fan, you should definitely check this out if you haven't.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's honestly it's better than I expected it to be because I admittedly maybe only listened to this maybe once or twice, like way back when. I definitely tended to prefer the material that came after this.
Yeah, yeah. Same here. Yeah,
But
I'm very looking forward to when we get to talk about those records. And then while researching this, it was discovered that I Melt With You, their cover of the Modern English song, was a hidden track on apparently the LP version. Um, I've heard it It is a fine cover of a fine song.
Yeah.
Of the like covering old songs trope with the Fat Wreck releases, it might be among the better ones. At least like old rock or pop songs.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah. I thought it. Yeah. It's fine.
all right, want to talk about Rival Records now?
Let's do it. So, now that we shared our opinions on the album, we'll expand the conversation a little bit and go outside of Fat Wreck and talk about some of the other albums that came out around the same time as Forgotten Country, just for a little more context within the punk scene at the time. Um, so we were going to have a guest for the show, and he was not able to make it. So, but we're still going to talk about all three of these records because they're all relevant in their own way to Good Riddance at this time. So, Ben, you want to get started and talk about what the record you brought?
Yeah. So when I saw we were going to be doing this record, I immediately thought that Good Riddance did a split with Ignite, and so it would probably be a good rival record to talk about the Ignite record that came out around the same time. Calling My Brothers. It's a fantastic record. I think it is probably at the moment my preferred Ignite record, just because some of the goofiness on some of the other ones. How do you feel about Calling My Brothers, Alex?
I I definitely enjoy it. It's not it like it didn't blow me away. Uh, I think again, like I'm not like a huge Ignite fan. I do like Ignite, but it's just not a band that I've constantly gone back to. But this is definitely good, um, especially from the lyrics side of things. That's I think where it really shows a lot of similarities to Good Riddance. Um, but then, like, I mean, the music too. It's just like, again, we're looking at another band that's sort of like pulling from Bad Religion, but also like, I don't know about you, but like, I'm also feeling like there might be some Offspring influence here. Um,
Really? I mean, I can kind of
I
hear
think
it
it's
in
just
Zoe's voice.
that's
Maybe
what it
sounds
is.
a little bit. Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. It was like that's what's doing it for me, and make me think Offspring because I think that uh, it's definitely in the same ballpark as Dexter Holland. Um, but they still have their own identity here. That's the thing
Yeah.
is that's impressive about Ignite is that while it is doing this, it is pulling from those influences. Um, it's doing something a little bit different that sets it apart from a lot of the West Coast stuff that was happening at the time. Um, because they mix in more of like that like dark and moody vibe uh, that a lot of these bands didn't quite go for. So I feel like Ignite, their a lot of their identity, um, they owe a lot of it to the way that Zoli sings and like approaches these songs.
Yeah. He is definitely the most distinct thing about it.
Yeah.
And I feel like in addition to the similarities you're bringing up, I think they remind me a lot of I think partly just because of where they're from, and also because of the way that Zoli sings of the band Uniform Choice. I think there's a decent amount of similarities there too. Um, w- the standout songs on this record to me were Straight Ahead, Epidemic, and In My Time. What about you? Were there any that really stood out to you, or?
Yeah, I really liked Epidemic. Um, Especially that last verse, or maybe it's a bridge, I don't know what you call that, where he's singing, "You're responsible for your own actions in this life. Whatever roads you travel will lead you where you're right now." Um, I dig that. Um, but I think like lyrically, um, it does do a lot of like the well-worn topics about people like keeping you down and then rising up and believing in yourself. those are good things. But I think what makes it really interesting is when you consider how interesting Zoli is as a person. Because I think he's the X factor here because he brings in a lot of these like things that you don't hear people talk about in songs. Um, like he's very proud Hungarian vegetarian environmentalist that rescues seabirds and takes them to animal hospitals for rehabilitation. And he was this is another like fun fact about him. He was a stunt performer in a Jackie Chan movie. And then
Rush
much
Hour.
later, I don't know. I couldn't figure out which one it was. I saw it mentioned on the Wikipedia, and I was like, oh, that's weird. Um, but also kind of makes sense because he seems like he's a very physically fit person. Um, and then much later on, he Zoli replaced Jim Lindberg as the vocalist for Pennywise for like a very brief period of time. But it's just like he's got this really interesting background, and you see that come through in the lyrics, like on Blacklight, where uh, he's talking about. I mean, it's just like very. It's more like something like Propaganda would do than Good Riddance. He says, "I see the world in black light, hunting poachers, the power of money and its might, developers raping oceans in the middle of the night, drift netters." You just don't hear too many punk bands go the environmentalist route.
I mean, Good Riddance certainly does, I think, at a certain point. Um,
Oh, like later on, yeah, I can see
yeah.
that. Yeah, but like at this time, I'm just like I can't think of any other band that was talking about these very specific things. But I like the specificity of it. So I am bringing A.F.I.'s "Answer That and Stay Fashionable," um, which I think it not only does it in some ways relate to Good Riddance, it also relates to Ignite, and I think in an interesting way, um, because, and I don't know, maybe you'll agree, maybe not, that it seems to me like some of the things that Ignite was doing on Call My Brothers with like those like really like moody like bass parts, like like on Ash Return and Blacklight, you'll get that really like somber bass that's like pushed forward in the song. That reminds me of later A.F.I, like when A.F.I
Yeah.
starts to change things up in the in the late '90s and early 2000s and go in that more darker direction. Um, but I just think that like Answer That and Stay Fashionable, it 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 very much fits with what Good Riddance was doing at the time.
Absolutely.
Um,
Yeah.
and it was produced. Answer That and Stay Fashionable was produced by Tim Armstrong and Brett Reed of Rancid. And that's pretty evident in how it sounds, I think, because like uh, you get a lot of bass, and I don't know, it's like this record is like a good mix of like Minor Threat, Descendants, Misfits, and 7 Seconds, and it all comes together with a pretty good result for a first record.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I've got a theory about the first two A.F.I records. Which one do you prefer?
This one,
Which one did you buy first?
this one.
Which one do you think I prefer? Very proud of you. Which one did I
Yeah,
buy first? Very
right.
proud of you because
They're very
like
similar.
they are very like the fact that there are, I think, at least two of the same songs
Yeah, yeah.
between the two records. They're very, very similar records, and I feel like whichever one you just was your first introduction to what they sounded like in this era is the one that you end up latching onto.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I really do consider like those first two A.F.I records. They do to some degree blend together a little bit. Um, and I remember like years and years ago, I had thought that Very Proud of You came out before Answer That and Stay Fashionable. Um, there's just something about it made me think that it was the earlier record. But at least on this one, um, they're just they're just a pretty straightforward like melodic hardcore poppy-ish punk band. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's
They're operating in the same arena as Good Riddance is.
yeah. Um, it doesn't have like any of that like really moody stuff that comes in later that sort of defines them as
No.
that like goth punk band that feels they get because like later on they feel like it's very obvious just by looking at them. You're like, oh, these guys like the Misfits. Um,
Yeah. I I imagine, yeah, at some point he must have. Do you think he like read like a biography of Glenn Danzig and was like, "I'm going to be Glenn Danzig," or
I don't know, but like when you look at the cover of this record, which is them mimicking
Reservoir
Reservoir
Dogs? Yeah,
Dogs, Davey has the devil lock. Like he has the haircut, so like it's
true.
not
Yeah,
hiding the fact that he's a huge Misfits fan. Um, but you don't really, but like the Misfits stuff, like that doesn't really come into play as much here. There's maybe a little bit of it that I can pick up on.
I
Um,
mean, what? Well, from the other influences you're describing, I mean, there's only certain things that distinguish the Misfits from that, like
it's true. It's true.
lyrical content, and then like Glenn Danzig's voice are probably like the two biggest distinguishing factors there.
Yeah, and I
At
think
least
that's
in terms of the
probably
early stuff.
yeah, and I think that it's the way that Danzig sings is the thing that Davies may be pulling on here on this
Yeah.
record at
Oh
certain
yeah.
points. Um, but I don't know, how do you feel about this record? This this far out from it, particularly the goofy songs. The songs that are very much like, oh, this is like them. This is their Descendants influence coming through with songs like "I Want to Get a Mohawk" and "Serial Wars" and "High School Football Hero." These feel like they're in the same vein as the really goofy Descendants songs. And how do you feel
Uh,
about them?
kind of whatever. It's not what I go to A.F.I for.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, I get that.
I think my favorite song in this is the hidden track.
Oh yeah, we'll get to it. Oh, yeah, I guess we can just talk about it. It's the hidden track, by the way, is a very very good cover of "Man in Suitcase" by Police, which is both unexpected and well done.
It's really, really good. Actually, if
It
I
is.
recall correctly, I first heard it in your car because I think it was like a staple when you'd make mix CDs. Am I?
Oh yeah, I love this cover. This is a great cover.
The
Um,
original song's great too.
it is. It's like one of my favorite Police songs, easily.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that they picked a song that not only does it adapt well to like a faster punk tempo, but it's also not one of the Police's most popular songs. So it's like it's unlikely that somebody listening to A.F.I would find it like predictable or boring or whatever, or like in the case of like so many cover songs, like why cover this one? It's just because it's like a super popular song. This just felt like there was like a they really love this song and they want to do their own version of it, and that comes through 100%. It's really good. Um, but like going back real quick, going back to those the goofy songs. Um, I thought that coming back to this record that I would find because they're novelties because they're so like silly. Um, but I actually like I just I've got like a strange fondness for some of these songs. But Serial Wars is probably the one. That's the one that I just love to this day. It's very much in the vein of Lagwagon's Mr. Coffee because it just makes me like it's very fast and it's fun and
Yeah.
it's yeah. I
Well,
really enjoy it.
none of those songs were over 2 minutes either, too. So that's
Yes, huge
Can you
benefit.
can you imagine? Like NoFX has like a lot of um, joke songs that definitely drag on much longer than that.
Yes.
My least favorite one. I'm looking up the length of that right now. What do you think my least favorite NoFX joke song is?
My heart is yearning.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's this damn thing?
Maybe it might even be one of those songs that just feels much longer than it actually is.
Oh, it's 2.5. Or
See?
20. Yeah, 2.5.
My actual two favorite, maybe three favorite songs off of this A.F.I record are Rizzo in the Box, and because I just love the alternating like mid-tempo verses and the fast and upbeat chorus, and then Don't Make Me Ill is, I mean, I listened to this song a zillion times. This is one of my favorite A.F.I songs that they ever wrote. It's so catchy, and just really like fun. That's another one that I know that way back when I would put on like every fucking mix CD I could possibly make. I loved it so much. And I think I think when people think about early AFI, they probably have a tendency to just be like, oh, those first two records, they don't count. They have nothing to do with what came after. But like, I think that if you do go back and like really listen, you can hear sort of like the direction that they end up moving in when you listen to like Brownie Bottom Sunday. I think there's some hints in there that you can tell. It's like, oh, okay, like you can sort of see the starting point for where they might go.
Well, yeah, and I feel like from these to Shut Your Mouth it makes sense. And then Shut Your Mouth to everything else also makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, looking from here to there, definitely it's like two different bands.
Oh yeah. I mean, in a lot of ways, they are different bands because there are some lineup changes that happen, but it's not like so significant that the entire band is replaced, like in the case of like No Use for a Name, which I think started out as three guys, and then you got to you didn't even get that far out from that, and the band is completely different. But yeah, the first, in my mind, Answer That and Stay Fashionable, still a very listenable, fun record. And I like if maybe you heard AFI around the time of Black Sails and Art of Drowning, or God forbid the later stuff, and you might think, oh, that's not for me. But if you like Fat Wreck style punk in the '90s, you should, and you've never listened to Answer That and Stay Fashionable or Very Proud of You, you should definitely check those out. They're good records, and they hold up.
Oh,
Anyway, what's up?
Oh, I was going to say, do you want to talk about the third record?
Yes, let's talk about what, in my mind, this is my favorite record we're talking about today.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, this is
Yeah.
the best record we're talking about.
It's Civ, Set Your Goals.
Yeah, I think I forgot this even came out in 1995. But
Yeah, this one was completely off my radar. I just wasn't thinking about it, and this was like such like a good pull. And this is all credit to Josh, who wasn't able to join us. But like as soon as he said it, I was like, oh my god, that is a good pick. Mostly because like I just haven't gone back to this one, and I don't know why. Like this never should have left my rotation of like
oh yeah,
90s punk records. It's so fucking great. Yeah, it's like to me, like when I think about the sound of this record, it's like the Undertones crossed with Gorilla Biscuits.
oh yeah, that's a good way to think about it for sure. Yeah, yeah, they even do like, because the Undertones have that habit of like at times pulling in kind of like older style music tropes, which
Yeah,
this record has in fucking spades,
absolutely.
along with bowling t-shirts, bowling shirts,
I forgot about that sort of aesthetic.
dice in the mirror.
Yeah,
Was it
yeah.
there?
Yeah, it's on the cover, yeah.
God, yeah. This is such a great record. There have been times in my life where I've thought this record was better than Start Today. I don't know if that time is right now, but I think it's
for me it is.
probably close to as good. It's freaking awesome. I mean, it's somewhat the same band. The record was pretty much, I think, written by Walter. So though he's not in the band,
Yeah, that is interesting. That's an interesting note.
he was busy with Quicksand.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is Manic Compression came out this year.
It does. It at least explains why the song "Do Something," which I think is maybe my favorite song on this record. It just has those very like Quicksand-esque effects that are thrown in there, but like just like it's more of like a pop punk version of it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was definitely top my list of favorites. So far, choices made, soundtrack for violence, don't gotta prove it. So many fucking good songs on this record.
For real. Like it's just there's not really a bad one in the bunch at all. Uh and it's maybe like a little all over the place in some ways, but like it's still everything kind of hangs together in a way that it still feels like an album. But um but like really like the one of the songs that just like stands out as like it's like I don't know if this follows with the rest of the record is Trust Slips Through Your Hands. But that's also the song where you've got him at the front of the record. They're playing like a live clip, and he's like talking about how Luke from Warzone wrote the song and how you better fucking dance for it. um, but that song in particular, like I was listening to, I was like, oh man, what this reminds me of is which comes much later is Ceremony.
I'll have to listen to that song again to see if I
It's
hear
just
that.
like
Yeah.
it's just like I'm listening to it. I was like, oh man, it just reminds me of early Ceremony.
Yeah.
It's just like so fucking aggressive, balls to the wall. It's great. Um, but I also just I really like how like it's a very positive record for the most part.
Mhm.
It's positive vibes across the whole thing. It's a lot about a lot of stuff about personal responsibility and interpersonal relationships, which is again it's all stuff that's covered by the other bands that we've talked about today as well, and just a lot of punk bands in general. But it's done really well here. Um,
Yeah, yeah. Um, yeah,
but
it is a wonderful record. If you liked the Good Riddance record, you should definitely listen to Set Your Goals. I think um
not the band, not the band.
yeah, not the band, the album by the band
Yeah,
Civ.
don't get this mixed up with that.
Um yeah, 'cause I mean again, like this and the Ignite record, I think both give you a better idea of what some of the later Good Riddance stuff is going to sound like, I think. Particularly like Operation Phoenix gets, I think, pretty close to what Civ sounds like here at times, at least.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
Anything else?
the other thing I was gonna say was like, is this the record that started that weird trend of like hardcore bands doing the whole like unexpected, out of character, stripped down last song?
Probably not. Wait. Uh,
Uh, really like Kid Dynamite and Paint It Black, and how Dan Yeeman was almost like chasing after Civ.
oh,
And
I certainly would believe that. Yeah,
it's like there's like a whole bunch of like
that is a style of closer that Dan Yeeman likes a lot. I will say.
yeah, I think like a bunch of bands started taking that approach. Like the further out from this record that you get, like you see a lot more bands like, oh, we're gonna go hard for the first 11 tracks, and then on track 12 we're gonna do like an acoustic guitar.
Or yeah, or just something that's like a bit slower building kind of anthem
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which those songs are like taking that approach. Like it really depends on the band, and like it doesn't always land for me. I know that for you've mentioned that like Paint It Black doing that didn't necessarily work for you.
No. Yeah, that part of that Plain It Black record is like, I don't know. I just usually skip the last track on that record.
Yeah.
Because that record is so perfect overall otherwise. But yeah, the acoustic guitar towards the end of Paradise just makes my stomach queasy. Um,
See, that's what we differ on that because I actually still really like that. I think it's great,
um,
but it doesn't always work. It's definitely examples of other places where that just doesn't fit and it doesn't work.
yeah. All
Any
right.
other
Well,
thoughts? Nothing.
yeah. No other thoughts on Set Your Goals. What are your final thoughts on the album? What were your favorite songs?
Um, yeah, I think it's All Fall Down, Boys and Girls, and probably Mother Superior.
Yeah.
Those are the ones that I really liked from this first record, and then Fly's First Class I think was a good opener, but like
Yeah.
um, yeah, I would say that those are all songs that I like, and I will definitely revisit this record at least in some capacity going forward.
What about Fat Trim or things you didn't enjoy? There was nothing I didn't enjoy.
Agree. Yeah, there's nothing here that I didn't like straight up. Like, the Decoy doesn't necessarily work for me. It's just not. That's probably my least favorite on the record. Um, so
Yeah,
I
that
personally would maybe have just like cut that one. It's weird for so many reasons. And I think that maybe it just yeah, not super into it. And then maybe like one of the one of the songs towards the end, I could probably like "Man of God." It's maybe a little forgettable, and I kind of feel that way about October as well. But like, I'm not like you know upset that they're included or whatever.
yeah, it's 12 songs.
Right?
Much
Yeah.
like 12 episodes is the optimal season length, 12 songs is the optimal, probably optimal album length.
Generally 10, 12. I think it's good.
All right,
But
well, that's going to do it for this episode. If you have any questions, comments, or most importantly, corrections on anything we might have gotten wrong, please email us at ontherecord@gmail.com so we can set the record straight in a future episode. We'll be back in 1 week to talk about No Use for a Name's Leche con Carne. Thanks for listening.